Council President, and I will be chairing the meeting tonight on behalf of Mayor Kuhn. I'd like to start with the roll call, please.
Sure. Alder Schaefer.
Here.
Alder Wokus.
Here.
Alder Cole.
Here.
Council President Nelson.
Here.
Mayor Kuhn is online on Zoom. Alder Jackson. Alder Hanairo.
Here.
Alder Lorman.
Here.
Alder Crow.
Here.
I believe Alder Jackson will be in momentarily. Let's move on to public comments. I have two here in person, and we'll check after the in-person ones if there are any online. Our first person to speak is Rebecca Alwyn. Welcome. Thanks for coming. If you wouldn't mind just stating your name and address, and we'll make sure that the microphone is on.
Good thing I wore my platform shoes.
Good job.
My name is Rebecca Alwyn. I live at 1422 Northwest Field Road in Middleton. I am not now and never have been a member of a political party, but I've been politically active for approximately 15 years. My husband sometimes wonders if it's a full-time job now. I am here this evening to present a resolution that I and other citizens in Middleton are asking you to consider and to officially pass. The resolution calls for an amendment to the U.S. Constitution declaring that corporations are not endowed with human rights and that money is not speech. I have copies of the resolution. I can, if you want. No, I'm going to be the teacher in the room and say, no, I'm not passing these out until I'm done speaking, but I do have enough copies so each of the alders can have them this evening. I also sent it to Lori Burns electronically today so that Lori has a record of it. We are asking the city of Middleton to join 172 other communities in Wisconsin, which have already passed similar resolutions. We are working to get Wisconsin to join the 22 states that have already passed resolutions calling for a constitutional amendment. Resolutions might not be the exact correct word when it's the state, but you get the idea. So to the audience, whether you're here strictly in support of me or for any other reason, if you support such a resolution that says corporations do not have human rights and that money is not speech, please stand up. It's not hard. Yay. It's not hard to get support for this idea. You might reasonably ask, why bring a national issue to a local council? Since the people who support this amendment are not the people who have millions and billions of dollars to spend influencing our governing at the national and state and even local levels, we must build huge popular support. Passing this resolution will show support from our city and from our residents. The most recent state budget bill in Wisconsin contained a provision that eliminated advisory referenda. The electorate in our state can no longer advise our legislature, but we can still pass resolutions of this nature to communicate the will of the people. Partly because of the money that was unleashed by the 2010 Supreme Court decision, we're in an almost constant election cycle. Do you enjoy it? The billions spent on ads, many of them attack ads, exacerbate the polarization in our country. They intensify the sense that disaster is looming and the supporters of the opponent, whoever the opponent is, must be horrible people. An additional byproduct of these negative ads will be and is to further deflate interest among the voters who are already displeased with the choices before them on the ballot. When the election is over, no matter who wins, we will be no closer to actually solving problems. We need to pass resolutions like this to show support for an amendment to our U.S. Constitution that can help change this situation.
Thank you so much. Next is Kevin Spittler. Thanks for coming in, Kevin. If you would, same directions, name and address, please. Thanks.
My name is Kevin Spittler. I live at 6848 Frank Lloyd Wright. Didn't realize so many people would be here tonight, but most of the council knows I'm a climate activist with 350 Wisconsin. And I'm here this evening for two reasons. The first is to address funding decisions to made yet this year and all the money that's transferring from last year's budget to this year. As you may know, under the IRA, municipalities, schools, businesses, institutions, nonprofit organizations, landlords, and residents can reap 30% rebates on qualifying climate change mitigation efforts. This program will only remain in effect as long as Congress and the president make it available. And of course, that could change as early as next January. In case you don't know, the Dane County Office of Energy and Climate Change has expertise to help anyone in the county take advantage of the IRA rebate program. The second reason I'm here is to inform city leadership of the Middleton Cross Plains Area School District sustainability efforts, since they don't communicate them very well. Like the city, MCP ASD also has a sustainability resolution, and theirs was passed in 2021. It includes a 100% renewable energy goal by 2035. This past summer and fall, our local group of climate activists started probing ways that they are addressing their climate goals. What we found is a mixed bag. On the positive side, they're using solar from MG&E. All their buildings have 100% LED lighting and light controls, and the stadium will be converted in 24-25. Pope Farm, Cromery, and Glacier Creek are using geothermal. A number of buildings have Energy Star ratings, and they have a consultant, McKinstry, that has assessed their buildings, held some staff workshops, and is developing an action plan. McKinstry has considerable expertise in helping clients with the IRA, and the city could greatly benefit from such assistance. They are considering numerous opportunities to fund their sustainability. They've got about 13 different possibilities. I won't go into them. However, they have no sustainable purchasing plan, though I recommended that they start with the cities because we have one in the city. No EVs or specific actions yet to acquire them, as far as we can tell. Have yet to develop options to replace fossil fuel using boilers and buses, and plan to use much of a remaining $6 million from their 2018 referendum to build 3 new athletic facilities for tennis, baseball, and softball, including 1.2 million of that for artificial turf. We think that they should use a large portion of the $6 million to further address climate change, and then via the IRA, use the unrestricted 30% rebate money for virtually any other expense. Again, the IRA is also available to the city, but who knows for how long. Finally, we also think that artificial turf is a very bad choice for safety, health, and sustainability reasons, including installing it immediately adjacent to Pheasant Branch where they're siting the 2 ball fields. Thanks for your time tonight.
Thank you. Brian, is there anyone online who would like to speak?
Is there anybody online that would like to speak at this time? If so, raise your virtual hand.
Is there anyone else in the room who would like to speak?
Okay, I'm seeing nobody online raising their hand.
Great. I'm going to close the public comments and move on to proclamations. First proclamation is the proclamation celebrating February as Black History Month in Middleton, and I've asked Alder Jackson to read the proclamation.
This proclamation being read on, oh my God,
February 6th.
Thursday in the city chambers. Whereas America celebrates African Americans and the arts, spanning the many impacts Black Americans have had on visual arts, music, culture movements, and education. And whereas African American writers, including Phyllis Whitley, poet, published her poems in London in 1773 at the age of 20. And Langston Hughes, poet, novelist, and playwright, he led the Harlem Renaissance. And in 1951, he wrote Dreams Deferred. Novelist Toni Morrison shared the African-American experience in her writings. And whereas in the years before, during, and after the Civil War, several African-American visual artists achieved success, including Admana Lewis, sculpture, Henry Tanner, painter, and Mae Jackson, sculpture. And whereas African-American musicians included the many that sang spirituals who added coded messages like Wade in the Water to help slaves escape to the North, as well as Scott Joplin, ragtime singer of Maple Leaf Rag in 1899. He sold over 1 million sheet music copies, the first national music. In the 20th century, African-American musicians continued to influence the blues, jazz, rock and roll, and rap. And whereas in 1963, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. gave his speech, I Have a Dream, in which he stated, I say to you today, my friends, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. And whereas we celebrate the efforts of African Americans to celebrate the arts and remind us all to live up to the American ideals. Now, therefore, Mayor Emily Kuhn, Mayor of the City of Middleton, Wisconsin, along with the Middleton Common Council, honor the history of African Americans and the arts. And we urge our fellow residents to learn and celebrate Black History Month in our community. This proclamation was adopted at a regular meeting on the Middleton Common Council on the 6th day of February, 2024.
Thank you very much. I need a motion to approve.
This is Jackson. I make a motion to approve this proclamation.
Do I have a second?
Schaefer will second.
Very good. All in favor of passing this proclamation signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. On to the approval of consent agenda as recommended to the council by committee, commission, and boards. We have items 1 through 4 tonight. The common council minutes of January 16th, 2024. Audit of the bills to be paid is recommended by the finance committee. City developer agreement revised for Bell Farm Phase 1, and agreements with CGC, Gestra, and SES for 2024 testing service. Do I have a motion to approve or any amendments?
This is Haniro. I move approval of the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
This is Jackson. I second.
Any discussion? All right. All in favor of approving the consent agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to agreements. Agreement number 1, agreement with Middleton Cross Plains Area School District for the School Resource Officer Program.
This is Haniro. I recommend approval as recommended by the finance committee.
Do I have a second?
Lorman will second.
Thank you. Do we have any discussion?
We discussed this briefly at the Finance Committee, but I just want to state for the whole council, this agreement is through July of 2025?
July 2025.
June. But at that time, I would highly suggest that the city review this agreement as far as its the funding of the positions, the number of positions, and really maybe do an audit of the SRO program because it is a incredibly important program for our schools. And I think that it deserves a good review and further consideration to strengthen the program.
Excellent. I recall in the heat of the lockdown in 2020, I believe it was, we were renegotiating this. And it became a sort of misunderstood that, on my part anyway, that the police were feeling really overworked and needed things taken off their plate. And I tried to take this one off their plate and they said, please do not. This is the one really awesome program that we really, really love to do. And I heard during the finance meeting that you were saying that the Cromrie SRO has been there a long time, has great rapport. But I do recall that Chief Hellenbrand said that they rotate out so that they don't burn out. Let's try and work on coming up with a way that they don't burn out and we can keep sort of a longer standing. So I agree with you. I love the idea of making it a committee of the whole topic. And so is there any action needed on this? We need to pass this agreement. All right, any other discussion?
The only other thing I say, and it was said earlier about the Criminy SRO, if we can find a way to, because she's built a relationship. She's built a strong relationship without having them switched out. She's actually built a relationship with me. I know her very well, my daughter. And having that relationship and children there that respect her and they really respect her as an SRO, I think that's something in the community to keep in place.
Excellent. All right, any other? All right, with no other discussion, all those in favor of passing the agreement with the Middleton Cross Plains Area School District for the School Resource Officer Program, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. On to CSM and plat. Number 1 will be the preliminary plat as revised for Bell Farm, PC 2583. Need a motion to approve, to discuss.
This is Haniro. I move approval of the preliminary plat for Bell Farm as revised 1/9/2024, contingent upon resolution of staff review comments as recommended by the Plan Commission and the Public Works Committee.
Schaefer will second.
Good. Any discussion on this item?
Just to say that I'm super excited about this project going forward, and I was very pleased to see it on the front page of the newspaper. That was great.
Excellent.
I'm excited that the parkland is going in phase 1 too. We worked on that one.
All right. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor of passing the preliminary plat as revised for Bell Farm, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. CSM plat number 2, item number 2, final plat as revised for Bell Farm Phase 1.
This is Haniro. I move approval of the Phase 1 final plat for Bell Farm Phase 1, revised 1/11/24, contingent upon the 6 items showing on the screen, and also that if the above items are not completed by March 31st, 2024, then the approval is void.
Do I have a second?
Lauren will second.
Any discussion? All right, if not, all in favor of approving final plat revised for Bell Farm Phase 1, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. On to ordinances, I believe. Yep. Second reading. Number 1, ordinance to repeal and recreate Chapter 10, the zoning ordinance, and official zoning map of the Middleton Municipal Code.
Madam Chair, the staff requested a motion would be to refer this item to the February 20th council meeting for a public hearing to occur.
Very good. Do I have?
Yes, I was going to move to refer the zoning, signs, and outdoor lighting ordinances and zoning map to the Plan Commission for consideration at their February 13th meeting, and to direct the Plan Commission to submit a recommendation to council to support the public hearing scheduled at our meeting on February 20th.
Do I have a second?
Schaefer will second.
All those in favor of deferring ordinances number 1, 2, items number 1, 2, and 3 under ordinances to our February 20th meeting, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. On to planning and zoning. Number 1, specific implementation plan or SIP for Middleton Shores redevelopment at 6140 Century Avenue. Do I have a motion?
Can we get the contingencies on the screen? If so, then I will move approval of these SIP for Middleton Shores redevelopment at 6140 Century Avenue, contingent upon these 7 items showing on the screen. Yeah, and that's it.
This is Cole, I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of approving the specific implementation plan for Middleton Shores redevelopment at 6140 Century Avenue, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay.
Motion passes 7-1. On to resolutions. Resolution 2024-03, release of water and sewer utility easement interests in the new right-of-way at parcels 3 and 4 for Parmenter Street reconstruction. Do I have a motion?
Schaefer will move.
Do I have a second?
Norman, second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of passing the resolution 2024-03, release of water and sewer utility easement interests in new right-of-way at parcels 3 and 4 for Parmenter Street reconstruction, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Under resolutions, item number 2, resolution 2024-04, authorizing the reappropriation of 2023 capital project fund carryovers to 2024 and related budget adjustments.
This is Haniro. I move approval of Resolution 2024-04 as amended by the Finance Committee, specifically to direct $165,407 of available excess funds to the future capital projects cost for the vehicle replacement fund, to direct $100,000 of the available excess funds to the sustainability matching fund account, and to leave $100,000 in available excess funds unallocated. Look up my notes, unallocated. Unallocated in the capital project funds.
Ooh, do I have a second?
Norman, second.
Thank you. Any discussion on these items? Hearing none. All in favor of approval of resolution 2024-04, authorizing the reappropriation of 2023 capital project fund carryovers to 2024 and related budget adjustments as amended by the Finance Committee, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. On to resolution number 3. Resolution 2024-05, approving the issuance of a tax increment revenue bond with T5 Properties LLC for the project at 6100 Lake Street in TID number 5.
This is Haniro. I move approval of Resolution 2024-05 as recommended by the Finance Committee.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
This is Jackson. I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion on this one?
That was the second.
Discussion.
Sorry.
I should enunciate.
You got a monitor between you and me.
I can lean back there.
All right, hearing no discussion, all in favor of approving resolution 2024-05, approving the issuance of a tax increment revenue bond with T5 Properties LLC for the project at 6100 Lake Street in TID number 5, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Item number 4, resolution 2024-06, approving the carryover and reappropriation of 2023 American Rescue Plan Act ARPA funds.
This is Haniro. I move approval as of Resolution 2024-06 as recommended by the Finance Committee.
Norman, second.
Thank you. Any discussion? I would just like to say this ARPA fund has been a really great thing. So glad that it was offered. All right, no other discussion. Let's, all in favor of approving resolution 2024-06, approving the carryover and reappropriation of 2023 American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA funds, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. On to committee appointments. If there isn't any objection, I would like to move that we pass all 1, 2, 3, and 4 committee appointments in one motion.
I'll move we pass all 4.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion on any of these items? Yes.
I did have one question, and that is just what are the terms of all these appointments? And I'm asking because it's kind of late in the normal terms. And so I'm wondering if these folks are going to, if any of them are filling in for a term that ends in a few months, do they need to be reappointed in the spring, or can we appoint them now with full terms? Does anybody know?
That information right in front of me, but I can send an email to the council tomorrow about that.
Okay, it would just be good to know, especially since we are approaching. Okay,
Yeah.
And to let the volunteers know.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, great. Good question. Anything else? All right, with that, all in favor of approving the committee appointments 1, 2, 3, and 4, Ed Hansen to the Board of Review, Elizabeth Brunning to the Arts Committee, Ralph Earl and Dan Cody to the Public Safety Committee, and John Nugent to Workforce Housing, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. On to discussion. Any updates on committees, commissions, and boards? Alder Crow.
I'll mention that the Library Board of Trustees met on Sunday to do a kind of a work session with Friends of the Public Library, which was a good kind of retreat that we hadn't done in a number of years. So getting to know the Friends Board technically, and talk about some of the upcoming things. We've got a bookmobile that we're gonna roll out.
Nice.
Either this summer or early fall. And talk about funding for that and fundraising that we're hoping to do. So that was a good retreat
Awesome.
for all
Excellent.
of us. And it was the first Sunday that the library was open.
Oh, yeah,
again,
new
so-
Sunday
And there were a
hours.
number of people there
Wonderful.
using the library on Sunday afternoon. So that was good to see.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you for that report. Anyone else have anything? All right. Thanks for that. So let's move on to convening into closed session. I need a motion to go into closed session.
Madam Council President, before somebody makes that motion, let me just offer a recommendation on what the motion would be. It'd be to convene into closed session pursuant to section 19.851G Wisconsin statutes for conferring with legal counsel for the government body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is likely to become involved. The commission will discuss litigation and potential settlement of matters concerning Adams Outdoor Signs versus City of Middleton et al.
Thank you. Do you need me to repeat that?
You repeated what I said. Perfect.
That would be in the motion. Yep.
That's the motion.
All right.
I made that motion.
I
Alder
will,
Schaefer, thank you.
Repeated it.
I will second.
Stated.
Alder Wilkes seconds. And then we'll need a roll call
Correct.
to go into it.
Yep. Alder Schaefer,
Yes.
Alder Wilkes,
Yes.
Alder Cole,
Yes.
Alder Nelson,
Yes.
Alder Jackson,
Yes.
Alder Haniro,
Yes.
Alder Lorman,
Yes.
Alder Crow.
Yes.
Mayor Kuhn is on the line. I don't know if she has audio capabilities or not.
Thumbs
Just
up.
gave us a
The
thumbs
thumbs
up.
up.
Okay. Okay, that is all members voting aye to move into closed session, which we will do now at 8:02. Just give me 1 second to get things ready.
Thank you.